Hi, everybody. Hope you're doing great. And today I'm super excited to speak with Genny. And we'll get started very soon. Genny is with the Eat School. And we'll get started really soon. Thanks for joining. Great to see you. Hope you're having a great day wherever you are. And if you're not already following Genny over at the Eat School, I invite you to do so. And thanks so much for joining. So, hi there. Hi there.
Oh,
How are you, Genny?
I'm good. How are you, Angel?
I'm awesome. Thanks. Let me see if my volume is pretty. Yes, it's pretty okay.
Yep.
Awesome. Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you good. How about, can you hear me on the
Yes.
other end? Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Good.
Yeah. So first of all, Genny, I want to thank you so much for taking the time to come and chat with us today. If you see some scribbling on the bottom there, those are just my notes to keep me on track.
I love it. I love it. Nice and organized.
I try. And I want to say hi to everybody who's joining. Sherry saying, hey, Genny. I want to give a shout out to Sherry Page
Oh,
at the plant-based Burbs for introducing me to
oh,
Genny on
yes.
their live. And if anyone missed the live that I had with Paige and Sherry, I invite you to go and watch that. It was super fun, and I think we shared some really cool information that can be helpful for all of us on our journey, wherever we are. So thanks for that. I want to say, Genny, that I'm very, very impressed with your Instagram page. It's so beautiful.
Oh, thank
It's
you.
there's no, seriously, there's such a variety of, topics and elements that you cover. And, I know in your description, you describe yourself as holistic. And I think that's super, super important because a lot of times,
Yes.
yeah, and I know I'll pass the mic over to you in a sec. I just want to
Hmm.
say, like, a lot of times, I think we focus so much on what we call diet, what we eat, what we drink, and
Hmm.
we don't look at all of these other elements. And I know that you look at all of these other elements. So I do want to applaud you for that, like straight out the gate.
Thank you so much.
Of course.
Yes, and I have been honored to connect with you through Sherry and Paige. So thank you, ladies, for the connection. And I'm super impressed with everything that you do, just your span of knowledge. And I definitely want to get to know more about your raw lifestyle and learn some tips there. Super cool.
Awesome, awesome. Let me see if my music might be a little bit too high. I apologize. Let
No,
me
you're
just check.
good.
All right, let's just see if that'll be a tiny bit better. So here we go. Thanks so much, everybody, for joining. Please put your questions and comments down below for Genny as we go along. We'll pause and get to your questions and comments. And meanwhile, Genny, we have a lot to cover. So I'm just going to start with my first question for you, please. And that is, can you tell us how you started your plant-based, plant-powered, plant-strong journey? From
Mhm.
whenever that started, way back when, whenever.
Yeah. Yeah, so thank you for that question, Angel. I've always been conscious of health, quote unquote, right? But there are just so many forms and definitions of it. And it really took me getting deathly sick. I mean, in the hospital for a month with lupus. But there's a positive part of that story, right? Is where I started doing research and I came across the benefits of eating more whole foods. So eating more foods from the Mother Nature. So I classify the way that I'm eating as plant-based, but essentially it's a vegan lifestyle. It's about eating plants, right, across the plant kingdom. So my journey really was based on my testimonial to figure out how I can essentially feel better And I also remember being in the hospital and the doctors telling me a few things. One, that I would be on dialysis with lupus, which basically I would have to get my blood replenished once a week because of the functioning of my kidneys. And then secondly, when I asked the doctor the magic question, well, what should I eat? You know, doctor, what should I eat? And the doctor's response was, eat whatever you want. Just take your medication. I know. I know. So from that, I mean, that really just put the fuel in the fire for me to say there has to be a better way. There has to be a different way as well. And, you know, it's really just about calling on what our ancestors did to feel better in these moments. And it's been just that. It's been a journey. So I started out in 2017 with the transition when I was diagnosed. And then I would say I went all in 2019. And I haven't looked back since.
That's awesome. Well, I'm the part that's not awesome, obviously, is all of the challenges that you went through, all of, you know, those difficulties. That's not awesome. I think what is awesome is that you you know, you felt empowered enough to like do your own research and to dig a little bit deeper and figure this out, you know, for yourself, because there's just so much information, so much misinformation out there, and we won't get too much into that. We're gonna stay on the we're gonna stay on the real information. I was listening to well, I'm still listening to music, but I was listening to some music by Lauren Hill. Shout out to Lauren Hill. And one of her songs had a line in it, and it said, people want fantasy and what they need is reality. And that resonated with me so deeply on so many levels, including you know, our diet, where we are, you know, basically told this fantasy story that, you know, we need to consume animal based in order to be, you know, thriving and healthy and all of that. Whereas the reality is so much different, you know, and what we really need is the reality that we thrive on plants in our diet and lifestyle. So anyway, I just wanted to mention that because when I heard that line this morning, I thought, oh,
right. Yes. I mean, that is definitely a word. I feel that too. It's so true because there's so much miseducation. And I know Lauryn Hill had a title of the album too, right? So much miseducation in this world. And I was just doing an interview these past 2 days, and it was a group of young men, I'd say between their mid-20s to their early 30s. And you know, I was honored to tell my story, but they come from a world just like us where we've been taught that you have to consume meat to have strong bones. You have to consume dairy to get your calcium. And it's so much miseducation. And it's also a balance between what we want to believe. So, you know, how do we strike that balance? How do we unlearn what we learned?
Oh gosh, well, I'm going to throw that question back to you in a moment. But before we get to that, I want to say hi to everybody who's joining. Paige, thank you for the greetings. Hey, Game Changers, thank you so much for that. And I want to say that what I would love for you to share, please, is what are some of the changes that you experienced when you switched to a fully plant-based diet and lifestyle?
Yeah. So for me, it was really my reasoning for transitioning or changing my lifestyle completely was primarily based on health. And for me, it was about reducing inflammation. That was the gold standard for me to feel better with lupus. And there's different ways to look at feeling better with lupus. Some people say that you can go into remission where your disease activity is minimized, or you can reverse lupus, where I've heard stories that way too, where the disease is just not even present anymore in your body. So for me, reducing inflammation was a key marker to feeling better. And I saw that directly with consuming plants. I mean, well, first of all, I was 30 pounds sicker. So I'm 5'7". I'm generally about 145, 150 with muscle weight. And I was about 120 at my sickest level. And eating plants, right? Eating plants actually allowed me to gain that weight, which I always love telling that part of the story because, again, there's a misconception that you don't get enough nutrients or protein, but I was becoming healthier. I was becoming stronger. So that was the first aha moment for me. And then on top of that, I started gaining more energy. And also with lupus, so just taking a step back with lupus, it's an autoimmune disease for anyone that doesn't know, and it attacks your major organs, right? It can attack any organ in your body, your skin, your cells, your tissues, and not two people are the same, right? And in my particular case, it attacked my kidneys, my skin, my lungs, and a lot of other things. But from a symptom perspective, I started seeing the reduction of symptoms, right? I used to suffer from chronic fatigue where it felt impossible to get out of the bed. That was no more. I had brain fog is what they called it, just not being able to think clearly, and I felt so much more mental sharpness when I started transitioning to plant-based. And then if we want to get more like scientific, I've been posting about it lately. I've been able to reduce my inflammatory markers. So there are a few inflammatory markers that you measure with an autoimmune disease. They call it C3, C4 complements, for example, or your C-reactive protein. And those have been able to become into a normal range, right? Those have become, they're coming into a normal range. And just on top of just feeling a sense of vitality, feeling a sense of purpose. And I mean, that even allowed me to change my 10-year career as an accountant, which I sometimes talk about, to becoming a holistic nutritionist, all really from clearing my mindset and really just cleaning my body from inside deep. And it's really led me on this purpose.
That is beautiful, and I am so happy for you. Gosh, we got a fabulous here from Sherry. No, I really want to applaud you, and I want to applaud you for listening to your body, tapping into, tuning into, turning on your connection to your body and listening to your body and not getting derailed by all of the, marketing and advertising out there and misinformation out there and what you were told, oh yeah, just eat anything. I really want to applaud you for, following your instincts to and listening to your body and saying, oh yeah, well, I'm making progress here, so I should keep going, I'm glad you mentioned the whole weight gain aspect. Now, I personally have not had that challenge of, needing to gain weight, shall we say. But there was one little time when, I guess there was just one little tiny era, if you will, in my life many years ago, where I was just kind of like at the very, how they have these ranges for your height, and I was like right there at the tippy lower, the little tippy end, the little cusp there, and so I did ramp up, a few pounds, I guess, like by consuming more calories. I didn't like cut my exercise or anything. But in general, I don't have that challenge, but I know that there are people, and it's real, that some people really want to gain weight. Like, I think mostly we hear about, I want to lose weight. And I think it's important what you said, that even on a plant diet, you were able to gain weight, gain muscle, gain strength, feel empowered, and see all of these improvements. So I really want to thank you for mentioning that.
Thank you. Yes, and it's tricky too, because like you said, majority of the society focuses on weight loss rather than weight gain. And I always say, I want to help people maintain a healthy weight, because even with an autoimmune disease, a chronic disease, many of the times we're malnourished for many reasons, because we're consuming the standard American diet that's not providing us with nutrients, and then we have our immune system attacking itself, right? So yeah, some people are suffering from weight loss, and also weight gain because of the side effects of the medication that we take. So it's a double-edged sword, but it's most important to focus on maintaining a healthy weight, and you could certainly do that with eating plants.
Yeah, yeah. Wow. We have Sherry saying I'm a hard gainer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's all about our metabolism too, like protect
Totally,
our weight.
totally. So tell us, please, more about what is inflammation.
Mm-hmm.
I know a lot of us think of, for example, inflammation as, I don't know, when we get a cut, like our skin will
Mm.
swell, or will there be some redness, some things like that. But what is that like internal inflammation that, some experience,
Mm.
with some of these challenges? What does that really mean, please?
Well, first of all, Angel, you're the first person that's asked me this question, and I love it because it's really about tapping into our bodies and really understanding what's happening. But to answer your question, inflammation is the immune system and the body system, the body's ability to respond to a traumatic experience or to respond to stress, right? And there's different forms of inflammation. We have our beautiful immune system that protects us, right? We have the external layer, our skin, for example, our lymphatic system. But then you have your internal immune system, your gut, for example, as well. And anytime there's a foreign invader, what I call it a foreign invader or a pathogen, that can cause an inflammatory attack to your body. So you have your soldiers at the front line, right? That's your immune system. And then all of a sudden a foreign invader comes through, your army is going to respond to that foreign invader and say, wait a minute, we got to ramp up the trolley, we got to ramp up the troops in order to kill or get rid of this foreign invader. And inflammation in that way happens, right? So you might get swelling somewhere in your body where your blood localizes to that area so that it can start healing. And inflammation can go from being acute inflammation, right, which means that it can happen one time, you fall, you bump your knee, or it could be chronic inflammation where you've had stomach discomfort, you've had diarrhea, constipation for months and months and months. So it becomes repetitive, it becomes chronic, and chronic inflammation can lead to all sorts of chronic issues, right? Chronic diseases, autoimmune diseases, and I truly know that I was putting my body through chronic stress, right, growing up. There's also genetic predisposition as well to having certain health issues, but most of our health issues are dependent upon our lifestyle.
Yeah. Well, thank you for digging a little bit deeper into that, because I think it's important for us to understand that element of this whole experience. And that takes me to my next question for you, please, and that is gluten-free. So you offer and suggest and I guess create a gluten-free meals. Why? What is the
Yes.
point of gluten-free? Like, why are you offering
Yeah.
that as an element in one's toolkit?
Yeah, and just quickly shout out to Miss Coisier 74 because she already mentioned something about avoiding inflammatory foods. And gluten is generally classified as an inflammatory food, especially for individuals with autoimmune conditions. There's a lot of question marks around that, but the general consensus is that two schools of thought. One, gluten, generally the way that wheat is produced in the US primarily, it's sprayed with pesticides, it's sprayed with chemicals, right? It's sprayed with glyphosate, as we've heard that term before. So those chemicals are coming into our bodies. right? We're already sick. We already have the alarm system going off. So if we have another foreign invader or pathogen come into our body, it could just make us more unhealthy. So I'd say that's the first school of thought with why gluten can be an inflammatory food. And the second school of thought is from a digestion perspective. And if we think about the body's function, if we think about the organ system, we need our liver, right? We need our gallbladder to produce the bile to break down food. We need our kidney to eliminate the waste, right? And if we're consuming foods like gluten, it puts a strain on our digestive system on top of some other foods. So it's making it harder for our bodies to digest gluten, right? Sometimes we don't have the right digestive enzymes. And again, most of the time, our body is just stressed, right? There's so much oxidative stress happening to our bodies, not only because of our lifestyle, but we're not getting enough sleep, right? We have to pick the kids up after school. We have to cook our meals. We might be in a toxic relationship. I mean, there's just so many external stressors. And then on top of eating inflammatory foods, it could cause chaos. So I always just say it's safe just to avoid gluten because of those two schools of thought. Now, if I'm talking about gluten in Italy or France, it probably won't be the same gluten, right? Because they farm and they grow wheat in a different way. So we might be able to digest wheat better if we go on vacation, for example. But I always say, again, like if it's an inflammatory food, there's science and research around it, exclude it. Yeah.
Totally. And I know you cover like some of those other elements as well. Again, like I said, I really applaud you for looking at this from a holistic perspective. You talk about toxicity as well in your messaging, that goes beyond, the food that we're eating, quote unquote. So yeah, I really applaud you for that. And I'm curious to know, if there are, one or two, success stories where you've been able to help others on their journey by, adding more plants to their lifestyle.
Yes. Thank you for that question. So I've been fortunate enough to build a community around the Eat School, and primarily our audience is individuals with autoimmune diseases like lupus, right? And I run many different programs. I run free challenges, but my signature program called the Eat School, the principles are to educate, adopt, and transform. And we learn about nutrition. We learn about the science of plant-based nutrition, but we also learn how to advocate for ourselves when we're going to the doctors, right? Because it's a double-edged sword just navigating our healthcare system, just getting the right level of attention based on our individual needs. So I've had success stories with helping people navigate their doctor's visits and get the right testing done so that they can actually figure out the root cause of their issue. I just want to mention that with lupus, sometimes they say lupus can be a scapegoat, actually, because there can be a lot of other underlying issues going on with the body. And I've been able to discover that myself recently with just having different pathogenic infections in my body. So just helping people navigate this very complicated system has been a success. And the other piece of just working with many beautiful individuals is that also with lupus, it's important to focus on our metabolic health. So when I say metabolic health, I mean weight management we talked about, but our cardiorespiratory health, our cholesterol, our blood sugar. We want to make sure that we're not getting these metabolic issues like type 2 diabetes, for example, or being more susceptible to heart disease. And again, that's attributable to lifestyle. But naturally, I say, as a byproduct of transitioning to a plant-based lifestyle, you can also improve your metabolic health. So that's another success with being in this plant-based lifestyle, is that your cholesterol levels are good, your blood sugar levels are good. right? Yeah, it's been a beautiful journey just to see how people have reduced their inflammatory markers, lost weight as a byproduct, but ultimately just feel more alive.
That's beautiful. And when you were speaking, again, it goes back to this holistic approach that you have. And also, it reminds me of the song that, a lot of us grew up hearing, the hip bone's connected to the whatever bone, and that bone's connected to that bone. Like, it's all connected,
Yes.
like just what I want to say, like, just focusing on one area is a bit narrow. It's a bit
Mm.
misleading,
Mhm.
and it reminds me of how some people they will ask, well, what do I do for such and such? Can you just
Mm.
give me one thing? Like, what's the
Mhm.
best food for such and such, or what's the best herb for such and such? And I'm thinking, no, it's not just one.
Nope.
You can't just eat this one food and then sit on the
Mm.
couch, neglect your sleep,
Yep.
stay in stressful situations.
Mhm.
You're not hydrated. Uh, in addition to eating that one, awesome food, you're eating all kinds of other junk, etc. I
Mm.
mean, the list just goes on and on. And I'm thinking,
Yes.
no, 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 it's not just that magic potion. Like,
Yes.
there is no one magic potion. Now,
Mm.
I do believe there is a magic formula
Yes.
that has many, many, many elements in it,
Mhm.
or many tools in the toolkit. But to
Mhm.
just say, yeah, but what is the best food for this or that? And I'm thinking, no, that's really not the way to
Yes.
go.
Right. So true. So true. And I tell my community this too because they ask me, they request for meal plans, and I kindly just say I can't give you a one size fits all meal plan because I don't know if you have thyroid issues, right? I don't know if you're more susceptible to having inflammation if you're combining fruits and processed sugars. So it really is based on a case by case basis. And then on top of that, there's 20,000 plant species. I love to always celebrate that, right? There's just so many different plants to eat. And we're not even talking about the mushroom world. That has millions of species, right? So it's almost, and then on top of that, people live in different parts of the world. So what may be seasonal here is seasonal, something is different somewhere else, right? Seasonally. So I always like to understand exactly. I always say when I first meet my client, I want to know what's happening. Like, walk me through a day in your life, and then I can provide you with feedback. I can provide you with recommendations on how to make those micro changes to start creating healthier habits and coming up with a plan to feel better, right? Maybe you want to, again, start to see your inflammatory markers being reduced, but ultimately, from an emotional standpoint, you want to reduce the pain in your knees, right? You want to wake up earlier in the morning and feel more refreshed. So it's so important to work with someone from an individual level, and there's no one size fits all approach. But I love what you said, Angel. There is a overall formula, right? There is a protocol that we can all collectively take, that can help us, and that's exactly what I'm actually trying to do with the Eat School, is to come up with a baseline formula to say, look, if you work with me at the Eat School, you'll go through this program, whether it's 3 months, 6 months, a year, and we'll follow this path together. Your journey will be different, but if you follow this protocol, I can hope for the intended outcome, right? Can't promise anything, but I can hope for the intended outcome to meet your goals.
Totally. And I do want to, mention this disclaimer. This is not medical advice. That's number one. Number two, I think the beauty also of part of what you said is, you know, I've heard this expression, like we're all walking each other home. And I think it's beautiful what you're saying, that, you know, for example, like everyone lives in a different house, in a different neighborhood. So, you know, the route or the journey will be different for person A compared to person B, C, D. Yes, we're all neighbors in this global community. However, you know, we all have a different path. We all have a different route. We all have, you know, different tools that we need as part of our toolkit. So, you know, I really, you know, I'm happy that you mentioned that. And Sherry said, total body, our body is one unit.
Yes,
Yes, exactly.
we have to look at everything together. And Sherry also said mushrooms are king. Yeah, Sherry knows that I love mushrooms. I love to go foraging. And yeah, mushrooms are healing as well. It's a part of the plant kingdom.
Yeah, I mean, some look at mushrooms like as a hybrid, I guess, you know, like part plant. Yeah,
Yes.
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so tell us, take us through, Genny, please, your current offerings as part of the Eat School, as part of what you're doing. What do you want to share with us about what you're offering?
Yeah, so as I mentioned just a few minutes ago, I'm looking to create that baseline protocol for us autoimmune warriors and lupus warriors to follow. I used to have a program that was about 6 weeks long, and it would help people transition to a plant-based lifestyle, adopt healthier eating habits, but we would also cook together, which was quite fun, to bring back that mindful eating experience too. So I want to bring all of that together, but the missing part for me was, I love the question you asked, getting people to understand what's actually happening to their body. So bringing in those foundational tools to let people know, hey, this is what's happening in your body. This is how your liver is functioning. This is why your body is swelling, because your lymphatic system is stagnant. And then I also want to help people advocate for themselves more when they go to the doctor's office, because again, we're in a capitalistic world where we're focusing on a sick care nation, right? And we're spending so much money on sick diseases when we can actually invest in our health to be preventative, right? So I'm definitely including more ways to advocate for your health more, and also just how to do testing so that you can figure out the root cause of your issues. So what I'm looking to do is, with all of that, right, I have to extend the program. So I'm trying to figure out what the sweet spot is with timing. Is it, I said 3 months, but I'm really getting to like more of a 6 month, 1 year mark, because it really will help people stay accountable, start to see transformation, right, and build sustainable changes. So that's coming. That's coming this year. I'm working on this really hard so that it can be relaunched by the spring or the summertime. But I'm always here to do one-on-one consultation. So I still have a community that way where I do individual consultations to help people on their journey. And again, that's usually minimum 3 months, but sweet spot is 6 months to really see a change.
Totally, totally. So are there any other future projects that you want to mention at this time?
You know, I love these kind of conversations because I always say that we're stronger together. So I'm glad that we were able to connect and have this conversation just so that we can talk to our community, right? And there's a lot of times where we just don't know who's out there that can help us. So I want to do more collaborations this year. I would say that's really primary on my future projects, and just do more creative things. I love to do foraging tours, so I want to create a membership program as well that's more in person in the New York City area. So foraging tours, just understanding how to identify different plant species, different mushrooms. So I ran one last year that was very successful, so I just have to keep that cadence and also try to navigate that because it's actually illegal to forage in most states in the U.S. Yeah, for many weird reasons. So I'm trying to figure out how to do it without actually saying, hey, you're collecting wild food. And obviously there's disclaimers behind that,
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
just eating things that you don't know. So I want to do more things like that. I want to do more pop-ups in New York City. I did a mindful plant-based brunch experience so people can see and feel what it tastes like to eat plants. And I want to do more conferences. I just want to do it all, but I also have to pace myself, right? Um, so many good plans this year, but it's really about connecting more with the community and connecting more with, individuals like yourself that just have beautiful communities, and we can do this together. We can be stronger together.
That's beautiful. I want to applaud you, and you remind me a little bit of myself where I kid you not, like I will just be doing something else and then another idea comes up. I'm like, oh yeah, I want to I want to do that and that and that. And I'm like, well, wait, I got to get through all these other things I'm doing, And
Yes.
so, but that's the beauty of it, and I do think that we are creative beings. And I do think that, the plant diet and lifestyle really, opens up that creativity and helps that creativity to come to the surface, rather than consuming, the standard diet that's very numbing. It just kind of, it's very suppressing in some senses as well. And so, I think that's really beautiful that you have all these ideas and, it's just a matter of time to get there, and to accomplish them.
Exactly. Yes, and I'm looking forward to connecting with you in person one day. Do you ever come to New York?
I haven't been there in a while, but that doesn't mean that I can't get there.
Okay, because there's a vegan women's summit that's happening in the spring, right?
Yeah, I saw.
So I know a lot of people are going to that, but
Yes,
I'm still trying to decide. I know Sherry just messaged me; she's going, so somehow we have to connect.
Yes, I think it's going to be a beautiful experience. Number one, number two, I attended the one last year virtually.
Okay.
Yeah, I was there virtually. It was nice, and I think the world was still a little bit. I don't know, a little bit shaky. Shout out to Infinite Waters, Ralph Smart, who says it's a little bit shaky, baby. I think. And shout out to him, Infinite Waters, Ralph Smart, for doing those 7-day vegan challenges. He is awesome.
Oh,
The guy has over 2 million subscribers on YouTube. He is such an inspiration.
Oh, Infinite Waters.
Infinite Waters. I know some of his messages might be a little bit out there for some of us.
Yes.
However, I just want to applaud him. So, last year the world was a little bit shaky, I guess. Still, a little bit wobbly, better than it was, I guess, the prior 2 years. So, my understanding is that, maybe the in-person presence was not as big as it will most likely be this year. And I just want to applaud, Jennifer over at a Women Vegan Summit, for all, and her team, obviously, for all the work that they're doing. I want to congratulate all of the women who have been nominated and who will be chosen, and those who will not be chosen. I just want to, congratulate all of you for all of your hard work and all your contributions to the vegan world, and to the world in general, quite frankly. So I don't know if I'm going to go, but I have been kind of tossing and turning about it, and I am sure it's going to be phenomenal.
Yeah.
For so many reasons. I could just go on and on about that. But yeah, I'm just so excited and so happy that this type of forum and event exists.
Yes. We're certainly changing the narrative.
Say that again, please.
We are changing the narrative.
that 100%.
Yes. Oh my gosh, I love your energy. It's so positive and loving.
Thank you. It's the plants.
There you go. Y'all hear that? The plants.
It's true. Well, there's a lot of other elements in my toolkit, but the plants are the driver. The plants are in the driver's seat, I guess I could say. And so I know we need to kind of wrap this up soon. Before we get to our couple of last questions, Genny, I just want to say hi to everybody who's joining. Thanks so much for joining, either live or on the replay. I want to ask you, Genny, what are the best ways for people to contact you for information, collaboration, etc.?
Yeah, so my DMs are always open on the Eat School. I also, so in terms of like everything that I'm doing, I'm primarily a holistic nutritionist specializing in autoimmunity, but I'm also a plant-based vegan chef. So I love to showcase the beauty of our plant foods, right? And I also am a fitness coach. So I do, you know, what I call mindful movement experiences as well. So I'm available for all of that. And yeah, my DMs are open at the Eat School. And my website is jennymac.com. You can find me there too.
Beautiful. That's awesome. Again, very holistic. I love it. I love it. Thank you so much, Sherry. She enjoyed the convo, and she's wishing us to enjoy the rest of our day. Thank you so much, Sherry. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining. And with that, Genny, just to kind of wrap this up and put a bow on it for us, please, what are your final comments, thoughts for us today, please?
Yes, I would say that, you know, if you're looking to transition to this lifestyle, maybe you heard about the benefits, maybe you see somebody thriving, and you're just very curious about trying this lifestyle, just start small, right? Build those micro habits, whether it's eating meatless on Mondays or substituting your favorite meal with more plants, and just find that momentum. I love to say turn moments into momentum. And I'll leave with that.
Oh, say that again, please.
Turn moments into momentum.
I love that.
Thank you.
I love that. That is such a visual. That is such a powerful visual. Moment by moment, it gives you momentum. I love that. I'm gonna write that down after we log off here.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. So Genny, again, I want to thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy schedule to come and chat with us. I want to invite everybody who's joining us, either live or on the replay, first of all, to thank you all, and also to invite you to follow Genny, follow me, share this video with your people, with your tribe, with whomever, you know, hopefully we will be chatting with you soon in some way, shape, or form. And with that, Genny, I'm just gonna thank you again so much, congratulate you on everything that you're doing for the world and for yourself, because of course, you know, we need to fill our own cups before we fill other people's cups. And so yeah, and with that, I'm going to save this and post it, and then I'll message you after.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you so much for having me, Angel.
Thank you, Genny. Take care.
You too.
Thank
Bye.
you. Take care. Bye-bye.